Good morning. My name is Allison Sterrett-Krause. I'm a member of the church's governing vestry board. Welcome to the Unitarian Church in Charleston this morning. Whether you're here with us on Archdale Street or joining us virtually from across town or across the world, we are really glad to have you with us as we work to become a community of inspiration, love, and service committed to creating a better world. We're really happy to see both our long-term members this morning and our visitors. We're so happy to have you. If you would like to learn more about our church, you can get information in a variety of ways. If you're here in the sanctuary, you can, or with us, do we have visitors cards today? Oh, the blue visitors cards, Mary Margaret has them in the back, so you can fill those out and put them in the offering basket. If you're with us virtually or you don't have a pen today, you can visit our church website, charlestonuu.org, and click on Get to Know Us, then fill out the digital visitors card and learn more about our church and our faith. While you're at the website, you can also sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Gateway, where you'll find details of all of the interesting things happening in this church community. We're a really active bunch, and we're always glad to have more folks join in. So you can see what's happening this week in The Gateway. There's a lot, and especially this afternoon, please join us after church at 12:30 for the drum circle. You can also, before the drum circle, join us for a few minutes of fellowship right here in Gage Hall for coffee and conversation and getting to know some new folks. So as we move further into worship, now is the perfect time to make sure that your phone is in worship mode. Thank you. Welcome to church.
Thank you, Allison. And I'd like to invite Nikki Van Aller to come up. Nikki is joining us as our new, come on. Nikki just moved here to work for KJM, and they are our new organizer. Actually, they'll introduce themselves, but I wanted to introduce you all to Nikki first. Nikki Van Aller is joining KJM from a background in peace and racial justice advocacy. Nikki attended St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, graduating in 2017 with a bachelor's degree in political science and English. Since then, Nikki has worked on a range of issues such as environmental protection, voting rights, police accountability, and advancing diplomacy ahead of unnecessary war. Nikki has experience collaborating with faith-based groups, helping everyday people learn how to engage in power building and strengthening bonds between a variety of organizations and leaders in pursuit of a common cause. Nikki looks forward to working with us, and we look forward to working with you very much. And I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce you to Nikki.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all the times that you've been supporting KJM already, and also supporting me. I got a lovely welcome basket from you all, maybe my second or third day in the office at KJM, and that was very heartwarming. I have started to get to meet some of you and get to know you, and I'm excited to continue meeting you all. I am extremely new to the Charleston area. I'm very new to KJM, but I'm not new to seeing the power that comes from people of deep conviction coming together to do justice. Those are the times in my life where I have been the most inspired and lifted up, and I know that I'm going to experience that with you all as well. As you all know, when we're confronting powerful systems to uplift justice and fight injustice, they're very huge and powerful systems, and that's why we also have to build our capacity to be powerful. And I really look forward to building that up alongside you. So if I haven't reached out to you already, you might be getting a call from me asking to meet with you. If you aren't already involved with KJM, I really hope that you join us. And I really look forward to working with you to make Charleston a more just place. Thank you so much.
Welcome. How's everybody doing this morning? Cool. As I'm looking here to share these wonderful instruments that I've been collecting for many years from different places in the world, I think to myself how wonderful it is to have hands, because as I'm thinking about what I'm going to share right here, I also have to think about how I'm going to present all of these different, I know it may be hard for some people to see them, after especially I demonstrate them, before we leave this afternoon, you can come and take an eye and look at the different colors of some of these, what we call indigenous instruments, or a lot of times native instruments, or organically made instruments. And I have a spread of them from 6 different continents. And the first one I wanted to share with you was one that we could do interactively. And using my fingers, I can warm up for this by just pressing them like one thumb to each of the different fingers on that hand. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Can y'all keep that going for me? Just that 1, 2. If you have any ability to snap, you can try to snap on that. 3, 4, 1, 2. So our hands are so amazing in how they have also allowed humans to create different kinds of instruments. So the first one I'd like to share with you, that's so nice. That 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to play this special whistle that my friend made in the Cherokee tradition that his family and friends are from. And it has 2 different kinds of whistles. The first one and the second one. it out there early. When can you ever get a deal like this? Free. We can play right here in this space about half an hour after the ending of church. And anybody that wants to play on one of these kind of drones, I have probably enough for everybody that wants to stay. If you want to try that out. I want to do a beginner little class and lesson for all ages. So it will be after the services. Thank you. For about 45 minutes or an hour. And you can leave anytime you want.
Thank you, Daniel. We will begin our service today by igniting our chalice. I'd like to invite up Marcus and Becky Simmons to light our flame. If you are joining us virtually, you are invited to light a candle of your own and join us in this sacred ritual. Our chalice lighting this morning is We Kindle the Flame by Reverend Jim McGraw of the UU Church of the South Hills in Pittsburgh, and it was written for the opening worship celebration of the 2023 General Assembly. It is responsive, and I invite you to speak the phrase, "We kindle the flame," aloud in unison with me. In celebration of our coming together in faith, in hope, in love, we kindle the flame. To illuminate the ever-emerging junction of what has been and what yet shall be, we kindle the flame. At the confluence of these various rivers, each sacred, each different, each worthy, we kindle the flame. At a crossroads, as we work to refine our aspirations, refocus our commitments, and reimagine our dreams, we kindle the flame. As we converge in this place of beauty and possibility, seeking joy, seeking justice, embarking a journey towards healing and wholeness, we kindle the flame.
Today's service was inspired by my time at the UU General Assembly this past June. GA was held in Pittsburgh. We just heard the opening words there. And I was there in person with John Jamrogowitz, Sandra Salvatelli, Danielle Lopez, and Reverend Nathan Woodliff Stanley. And participating online was Judy Manning and Richard Hayes. So we wanted to share a little bit about our experiences there. And I'm going to begin by delivering an excerpt from the President's Report by Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, who is our outgoing president. And this was one of the most inspiring moments for me at GA. And she said this: "It is truly astounding to consider all that has taken place these last 6 years." She was our president for 6 years. "Throughout," she said, "one thing has been constant, a rudder to guide the UUA and its work in these choppy and challenging seas, and it is the UUA's mission in service to our spiritual aspirations. Through so many unexpected challenges, the UUA's mission, which is this, to equip congregations for vital ministry, to train and support leaders, and to advance UU values, has kept us rooted and focused, and our aspiration to live in the liberatory, anti-racist, anti-oppressive, multicultural practices of beloved community where all people of all identities can thrive has helped us stay true to our theological and spiritual imaginations as UUs. Reflecting on these last 6 years, she says, I could not be more proud of all that we have accomplished. And she says, I recognize there are growing challenges. We know this from increasing climate disasters, political instability, war, and violence in our country across the globe, the rise of Christian nationalism and anti-democratic fascist movements in the US and across the globe are serious. They are real and they are dangerous. We have seen these movements before, including the scapegoating and dehumanizing of marginalized groups to sow fear and division, to target opposition, to undermine democracy, and to consolidate power. And we see them now. But every day In states all across the country, Unitarian Universalists are showing up courageously for our values, for our neighbors, to protect each other, and to unequivocally show that love is our future, not fear and not hate. Love is our future. We are at an important moment in our history as UUs and as a country, and the stakes are very high. Unfortunately, in times of change and uncertainty, she reminds us, there is always a risk that fear and anxiety will dominate and lead us to cling more tightly to what has been, to a status quo that has never served the cause of human need nor the values of justice and equity. Even more dangerous during times of significant change is that some people begin to cling to some fabricated imagination of a mythical past. We see this among white nationalists in our country. We also sometimes see it within ourselves. Now I recognize, she says, that this is a time of change and tumult, and that for some UUs, the focus on anti-racism and dismantling white supremacy culture and patriarchy has been challenging. Change is difficult. Yet the vast majority of UUs have affirmed without fail for decades the importance of this work through decisions made by congregational delegates at General Assembly over and over and over again. This culture change work happening now across Unitarian Universalism is absolutely essential for our growth and our relevance today and for generations to come. It is essential for nurturing the just and equitable, life-giving, liberating, multicultural world that we imagine, where everyone truly belongs and all can thrive. It is exciting, it is life-giving. And she concludes by telling us that she has never felt so much hope for our tradition than she does right now. She says, "For I know Unitarian Universalists are a people of faith, not fear. We are a people of hope and imagination. We have always sought to lean into the creative possibility of what is not yet, but what can be. This is the spirit we need to move through these days with more love, more joy, more compassion, more courage, and a greater willingness to grow in new ways, to learn new things, to get uncomfortable in the mess of change, and to be both humble yet steadfast in the call of love and justice. This is no time to go it alone. We belong to each other, we need each other, and we make each other strong and brave. May we continue to nurture resiliency and joy in our spirits and our communities. May it give us courage and clarity to be more effective in protecting our loved ones, our communities, our neighbors, this planet, and our very democracy. May we continue to grow our souls and ourselves as we faithfully become beloved community." I invite you now to rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn. Rank by rank, again we stand, and you'll find the lyrics in your insert.
Now is the time in the service when I invite the children to come forward if they would like. You are always welcome to stay where you are. And I am so excited to see so many new and familiar faces. Now, like Reverend Rebecca said, we are here sharing some of our experiences from General Assembly. And for me, the best experiences was witnessing the talent of other religious educators. And so I'm going to share the story that was shared with us during the Sunday worship. And the storyteller gave us these words to think about before she shared the story. And now I will share them with you. We live in a time of deep and complex uncertainty. We journey together with our children one day after another in a world awash in challenges. We wonder what tomorrow will bring, and it's in not knowing that worries and fears take root and grow, and still we go on. We wake up every morning and prepare to face a world that can be scary, especially our children. Their small shoulders bear the heavy weight of climate change, oppression, violence, and injustice. We yearn to shield them from all of it and keep them safe and protected, but we know in our hearts that we cannot and must not pretend our world is different than it is. So we ask ourselves, how do we guide our children through the messiness and doubt of the world we live in? How do we teach them that it's okay to be afraid, that it's normal to worry, that learning to live with uncertainty is deeply human? How do we explain that, as Robert Frost once wrote, the best way out is through? Perhaps we can find inspiration in our story. The story today is called Whatever Comes Tomorrow. Tomorrow may bring endless sun or swirly snowy skies. Tomorrow may bring new hellos or difficult goodbyes. Tomorrow may bring loneliness or laughter with a friend. Tomorrow may bring words that wound or ones that heal and mend. Tomorrow may bring changes that are scary, strange, or new. Tomorrow may bring chances to embrace your truest you. Tomorrow may bring obstacles that seem too hard to face. Tomorrow may bring feelings that will need some extra space. Tomorrow may bring questions that you have no answers for, or answers that may lead you to more questions than before. Tomorrow may bring anything you have no way to know, and sometimes that uncertainty gives worries room to grow. They sprout and bloom, consume your mind. You want to run and hide. But you've confronted fear before and reached the other side. You can't control what happens next, the what, the where, the how. The only thing in your control is you, right here, right now. You take a breath and close your eyes. You whisper, I am strong. You tell those worries in your head, I know I can, you're wrong. And when tomorrow disappears, becoming yesterday, you'll know for sure you can endure whatever comes your way. Tomorrow may bring laughter, love, confusion, fear, or fun, an angry, rainy hurricane, or a peaceful seaside sun. Whatever comes tomorrow, however steep the hill, you'll find your path, you'll journey on, you'll make it through. You will. The end. And now, you may sing the children. Look, they know where to go. You may sing the children out. We will be just above your heads playing games.
We turn now to our Book of Life, our shared documentation of the joys and sorrows that we encounter. So I invite you to center your hearts and minds in this space at this time. Our flowers, the beautiful sunflowers, are given today in honor of Antonina and Jose of Darren. The sunflowers were their favorite, reminding them of their native country in Poland. Stan Hutton is undergoing knee replacement surgery tomorrow. We're sending positive and healing energy for him, and we certainly wish him well. If you are holding someone in your heart this morning, you are invited now to call them to mind as we enjoy just a brief moment of silence. You are even invited to speak their name aloud so that we may hold them with you. Let us hold the silence for just a moment. May the arms of our community hold all of our joys and sorrows this day and always. Amen, and blessed be. We're going to sing again. I invite you to rise in body or spirit, for be ours a religion.
Our reading today is entitled Communal Care by Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, UUA President. Beloveds, we are called to communal care like never before, to serve one another, to organize for justice, to widen the circle of concern, to collectively imagine new ways forward in community, and to grow spiritually together. Our nation and our denomination are experiencing immense ideological struggles. Our congregations worry for their future existence, and our religious professionals and lay leaders are worn down to the bone. Yet ours is the work of hope in the world, where Unitarian Universalism commits itself to a liberal and liberating message for our time. I believe in a Unitarian Universalism that draws on its noble heritage of freedom, reason, and justice to be nimble in responding to the needs of our living tradition. While we cannot know what will come in the next 6 years, we can commit ourselves to racial inclusion, faithful witness, and the embrace of a wide range of voices and leaders for our faith. The good news is that we have already begun this important work. Together, we will empower youth and young adult leadership, encourage collaboration across our communities and congregations. We will deepen our theological engagement and invest in religious leaders of all kinds. All this while dedicating ourselves to the work of justice in the world. I have served Unitarian Universalism for more than 20 years. During that time, I have witnessed the goodness that comes from our shared labor when we root our efforts in our common values. I have seen this through my work in our congregations, our seminaries, our human rights organizations, and at the highest levels of denominational leadership. I have been humbled by the trust of so many in our movement who have invited me into the work. From elders to children, and especially those pushed to the margins, I could not consider this ministry without the care you have shown me over the years. I am shaped by leadership that is deeply relational, collaborative, and empowering across our communities of care. Serving as interim co-president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, alongside the Reverend Bill Sinkford and Dr. Leon Spencer, in the spring of 2017, required integrity, shared leadership, pastoral presence, and spiritual depth. It was a time of uncertainty and transition when Unitarian Universalism faced the unknown together and renewed ourselves by reaffirming the values we hold most dear. I know that we can do it again. We will need each other's love and compassion, resilience and strength to model the kind of care in community that is required for justice and liberation to be at the center of our living. This is sacred work. Communal care, collaborative leadership, facing the unknown together. This is how we will reinvest and reimagine a Unitarian Universalism that builds beloved community for all.
Thank you, Carolyn. So as you probably know by now, General Assembly was hosted this summer in June when more than 4,100 UUs gathered for a multi-platform GA with almost 1,800 online registrants and 2,400 in-person registrants in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And we came together as UUs from all across the nation and the world, folks in our tradition from all 50 states, from Washington, D.C., from Canada, Mexico, and the Philippines. And for me, as always, General Assembly, which is an annual gathering, was a life-affirming, soul-filling, electrifying, and spirit-boosting experience. The worship services were exquisite. The workshops, the lectures, and the learning were powerful, including, I'm going to highlight the Berry Street essay by Reverend Cecilia Kingman, which was called My Little Pony Was Right, Reflections on Fascism Without and Within. And Kingman's lecture was the 203rd Berry Street essay ever delivered. And I highly encourage you to find it online and read it, or you can email me. I'd be happy to send you a copy. If you didn't know, the Berry Street series is the oldest lecture series in the United States of America, dating back to 1820 when the Reverend William Ellery Channing, minister of the Federal Street Church in Boston, invited all the Massachusetts ministers known to be liberal at the time to meet in the vestry of his church, whose entrance was on Berry Street. And this was on May 30th, 1820. And at the meeting, Channing delivered an address that he had prepared, urging his colleagues into a bond of union among liberal Christian ministers within which they might meet to exchange practical ideas for strengthening their ministries. So many brilliant people have taken up the Berry Street ever since, including the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who delivered it in the 1960s, and the annual Berry Street Lecture remains one of the most remarkable things I think we do as an association. It was a real highlight for me, and I encourage you to check it out. In addition to hearing from Reverend Cecilia Kingman, we had the opportunity to hear from other esteemed speakers, including African-American scholar Imani Perry, who delivered the Ware Lecture. and award-winning author Brian Boom, who convinced all of us in his featured presentation to consider writing our own memoir. It was a wonderful week. It was inspiring. It was fun. All week long, at every turn, we enjoyed being together. We reaffirmed our long-standing and abiding commitments to racial justice, democracy, environmental justice, reproductive justice, queer rights, trans rights, and so much more. And it was so good, friends, to remember that we are not alone. We are part of a whole movement out there. We're not alone in any of this that we're doing. We are deeply and powerfully connected to the UU world. We are supported, and we have religious leaders who are skilled and passionate at every level of the UUA. So in general, I'm here to report that GA was great. It was fantastic this year, but there was one part that was better than all the rest for me. And it's become a bit of a theme. Every year at General Assembly, and all of the ones I've attended anyway, my favorite part, the most meaningful part, is the service of the living tradition. The service of the living tradition is our annual service where we honor major milestones that have occurred amongst us since we last gathered the previous year. So this includes ministers who are newly coming into fellowship. It includes ministers who are receiving full fellowship, religious leaders who have retired. It includes ministers, religious educators, and musicians receiving credentialed status. And we also honor the religious leaders who have died in the past year. The theme for the service of the living tradition this year was Toward Our Metamorphosis into Who Knows What. It was a service all about change. There's a lot of change in the air, am I right? The world is changing. We are changing. Our faith is changing. But one thing never changes, and that is that every year at GA, I make it a priority to sing in the service of the Living Tradition Choir. It's a time for me to worship in a totally different way than I normally get to do on Sundays with you all, because I do love preaching, but I also love singing. So if I'm not in the pulpit, you better believe I will be in the choir. So there I was. The choir this year was directed by the fabulous Glenn Thomas Rideout, who is the Director of Worship Arts at the First Universalist Church of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And the text for the service was one of the songs that we sang in the choir. And it's called Change is Coming. And it goes like this. Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? You want to try it? Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? I know from brokenness there's hope. I know from brokenness there's hope. Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? So after we sang this, Reverend Chris Bice of the Tennessee Valley UU Church delivered a powerful sermon about change. Change is coming. And right away he joked that churches aren't always known for rapid change. Can I get an amen? This one is painfully true. Change is hard, and for church folk, it is slow. So Reverend Bice told a very funny story, and his story included a chant that became the GA mantra for the year, and so I'm going to teach it to you. And the story goes that back when he was an intern minister, I think this must have been in the 80s maybe, at our UU congregation in Oxford, Ohio, he discovered that the church had its own personal cheer, and he would hear it on occasion, and it was, "Go, turtles, go." So, of course, being the new intern, he's like, "Can somebody clue me in? Like, what's this about?" So as the story goes, as he told it to us in this service, it was long ago at a board meeting of this particular congregation when no one was making any particular decisions in any particular hurry, when the board president exclaimed after hours of discussion, "Organizing Unitarian Universalists is like herding turtles." And the cheer was born. Go, turtles, go. Go, turtles, go. So we were invited to cheer along with him, and it was a way to laugh at ourselves, right? To have a little fun. And it was also a way to embrace our turtle's pace, knowing that we can, in fact, become the church of the future, even if we move at the pace of a turtle. And honestly, this is the point he got to, we don't have a choice. We are not changing, he said, because we want to. We are changing because we have to. And he charged us even further when he said, in the Unitarian Universalist Church, we believe in evolution. Now we actually have to practice it. We have to adapt, to change. We have to evolve. So as you know, one of the things that is changing for us is our Article 2 in the UUA bylaws, which is the section of our bylaws as an association that contains our UU principles. And as you also know, if you've been paying attention to my sermons this year and reading the Gateway, we are in a multi-year process of revision and update of Article 2. So for those of you who might be new this morning or new to this concept at any rate, there was an Article 2 study commission appointed by the UUA board in 2020, and they were charged with examining the principles and sources and purposes of our association. And this is mandated by our bylaws. Every 15 years, we are required to do this. And so in the years since 2020, this group of folks has been engaged very deeply in this work, talking to as many of us as they can, UUs all over the world, about who we are right now and discerning what it is that might be true of us in this time, how we are evolving, and what we might want to articulate in our bylaws at this time. So the Article 2 Study Commission produced a draft, a proposal that brought all of us at General Assembly into deep discussions about the theology and values at the heart of our tradition. And so, if you didn't know already, it was after a week of rich conversation and communal discernment that the GA delegates approved several amendments to the proposed Article 2 and voted to continue the discussion for another year. Nothing has changed yet. Go, turtles, go! Yes. We have another year to live with this proposed language, and then we're going to come back in the June of 2024 to take an official vote to adopt the revised language. And at that time, a simple majority is not going to be enough. It will take a 2/3 vote to pass. So here in Charleston, here at our church, once we get through all of these building and insurance cottage meetings coming up, and I hope you all have signed up to be part of that conversation about the future of our campus here locally, we will be digging into this topic more and more. And I'm hoping to have cottage meetings, workshops, discussions, whatever else might be meaningful to you that we can dream up that will help us wrap our minds and our hearts around this proposed Article 2 and bring it to a vote next May at our annual meeting and then in June at the General Assembly. So, change is coming. A change that occurred at this year's GA that I could not be more excited about was the election of our new UUA president. And Unitarian Universalists elected Reverend Sophia Betancourt to be our president with 95.5% of delegates voting yes. And Reverend Sophia is the first woman of color and the first out queer person elected as our association's president. It was a powerful moment at GA for all of us to see Reverend Sophia installed. And that was the moment when I felt like I have never been prouder of this tradition. Many of you probably know, if you've heard me talk before, that I am a huge fan of our former president, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray. She will no doubt go down in history as one of the finest presidents we've had, and it's hard to follow a class act like that. But Reverend Sophia is exactly the right person for this job at this time, and she will rise to the occasion just like Reverend Susan before her, I have no doubt. Reverend Sophia's priorities that you heard a little bit about in the reading are communal care, collaborative leadership, and facing the future together. During the many moments that Reverend Sophia had to speak with us at General Assembly and address the gathered body, she spoke to us of justice, of reparations. She spoke to us about taking care of ourselves, nurturing leadership, and putting love at the center of our faith. At one point she said, "I have heard from so many of you in so many ways that what you want most from me is an invitation into the Unitarian Universalism you're dreaming of, into building that world and that work together, and I'm going to hold you to that," she said. "When I say that love is the center of our faith, that means that I am committed to loving each one of you every day for the next 6 years and beyond." Reverend Sophia also spoke more candidly with some of us colleagues about the very real way in which her taking on a leadership role in our association like this is a very big personal risk for her. As a Black and brown and openly queer woman in a very visible role, she is going to need us to have her back. She is going to need us to love her. I already do, and I know you will too. During one of the general sessions, Reverend Sophia answered questions related to what she saw as the goals of her presidency and her thoughts about the Article 2 process. And she said, "I want us to have a shared language that doesn't separate us from what matters most. We don't need to claim the language of someone else's values, but rather lean into our own pluralistic, diverse language." Reverend Sophia spoke about how she sees this as a time when we need to lean into our covenants with each other while exploring our shared values. We are in a reimagining and rebuilding moment where risk-taking is central to who we are, is what she said. Change is coming. Reverend Sophia summarized her thoughts by saying, "Article 2 allows us to dream again." And then she asked us, "Will you dream with me? Will you dream with me?" The last thing I'll share with you all is that there was one other main business resolution that came before our Unitarian Universalist Association, the complete divestment from the fossil fuel industry and subsequent reparations, which was proposed by the UU Young Adults for divestment, and that was not adopted. The discussion process around this resolution was tense and at times difficult. Youth and young adults were very clear about their ask, and it didn't pass. Reasons for this included that passing this would have closed off conversations we need to have about UU values and investments, and would have preempted the work that the board has already begun around reparations and directly cut the UUA budget, including devastating the endowment funds of so many of our smaller congregations and the equivalent of having to cut 40 staff positions from the UUA staff. So it didn't pass, and yet the UUA board, the UUA president, both Reverend Susan and Reverend Sophia, and all of us in attendance, I would say, remain committed to actions that we can take to urgently and responsibly address the climate crisis. Reverend Sophia and the UUA board expressed a deep commitment to remain in conversation with young adult leaders, recognizing that their voices are central to these complex issues. Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? The mood of GA this year was simultaneously joyful and somber. We have a lot to celebrate as an association of congregations, and we are living in dangerous times. Both of those things are true at the same time. As you've heard me say already from this pulpit this morning, white Christian nationalism and anti-democratic fascism are on the rise, and the values that we hold most dear as Unitarian Universalists are under threat in the world. So I wanted to share this with you. One of the things that Reverend Sophia said a handful of times in some of her remarks at the General Assembly is that she wants us to be obnoxious about our values in the public square. Yeah? She said it a number of times, and I will never forget it, because this is the call that I need, that I think we all need. Change is coming whether we like it or not. We're not changing because we want to. We are changing because we have to. So let's get loud and obnoxious with our values in the public square, because liberals have been quiet in the public square for too long, for more than half a century, while the religious right has been out there throwing a tantrum. We can and we must be courageous and live our values boldly in the world. It's hard, we're not accustomed to it, but we can do it. Go, turtles, go! Go, turtles, go! Exactly. So next year, General Assembly will be fully online, and I encourage all of you to attend. Some of us have been talking about maybe having watch parties here in Gage Hall. We'll have a screen, maybe get a food truck, I don't know. Make it kind of a local event. And then General Assembly 25 will be multi-platform in Baltimore, Maryland. So, beloveds, I hope you have gotten a taste today for the energy, the excitement, and the urgency in our larger movement. We are in a change or die moment in history, and we choose change. We choose love over fear. We choose to face the future together. We choose evolution. We choose to dream. We choose to become the church of the future. Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? I know from brokenness there's hope. I know from brokenness there's hope. May this be so. The next song we're going to sing is The Fire of Commitment. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in song.
Thank
saddened by the recent horrific wildfires on the Hawaiian island of Maui. So we will be splitting today's offering 50-50 with the Hawaii Community Foundation, specifically their Maui Strong Fund. The Maui Strong Fund is providing financial resources that can be deployed quickly with a focus on rapid response and recovery for the devastating wildfires on Maui. Hawaii Community Foundation is working in close collaboration with state and county leaders, nonprofit organizations, and community members to get an understanding of the quickly evolving priorities. Funding will support evolving needs, including shelter, food, financial assistance, and other services as identified by our partners doing critical work on Maui. Hawaii Community Foundation will not be collecting a fee for donations to the Maui Strong Fund, so 100% of the funds will be distributed for community needs. For those of you here in the sanctuary, our ushers will circulate to collect your offering, or you may scan the QR code in your order of service. For those of you with us virtually, you may easily donate through the Breeze link on your church website or by scanning the QR code on your screen if you're live streaming. Be sure to select Share the Plate in the drop-down menu, and you may also mail a check to our church office with Share the Plate in the memo line. As always, we thank you for your generosity. Thank you, Daniel. It was very nice. At this time, I would like to invite up the Simmons to extinguish our chalice. We welcome those of you at home to do the same as we close our service. Please join with me in reading the unison chalice closing as this chalice is extinguished. We extinguish this chalice flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I'll leave you this morning with the words of Eric Walker Wickstrom. If you are who you were, and if the person next to you is who they were, if none of us has changed since the day we came in here, we have failed. The purpose of this community, of any church, temple, zendo, mosque, is to help its people grow. We do this through encounters with the unknown in ourselves, in one another, in the other, whoever that might be for us, however hard that might be, because these encounters have gifts to offer us. So may you go forth from here this morning, not who you were, but who you could be. So may we all.
Could I ask for one more accompaniment from y'all? Would y'all mind doing that with me? Doing a little accompaniment to this last instrument? All right. Actually, I take that back. It'll be like 1.5 accompaniments. That's how I want to do a plug for the drumming that we're about to do as well. So let's see, we'll do the same accompaniment for both instruments. The first one will be, and as is with any of these, you don't have to do it exactly literally the examples I show you. Like if you just want to do something that fits with the sort of the vibe or the number count I gave or the feeling that it allows you to feel, whatever allows you to experience both the sound of the instrument and the breath that's going on, or like your state that's experiencing it as a person, and then also the rhythm, the experience of being here with everyone together. And so the little parts that I give you are just to be kind of zone in or zone out as those are going on musically. So the one I want to give you is that we'll go as a low sound. We'll do either a foot tap and then a clap, clap, or just a knees, knees, clap, clap. Whatever represents a low, low. Yeah, so keep that up for me, will you? All right, nice. You want to see something really cool though? All right, y'all keep doing that, okay? On this side, we're going to do something different, but based on the same thing. So y'all only listen to yourselves, okay? Low. And we're going to do something different. And now try to feel that for a second. And see what your breath is doing naturally. So we keep this rhythm. And I'll be thinking the same thing as I play this rare instrument from Australia. Let's see how this sounds. So, I told you there was an additional, so the additional plug is, we'll keep it simple as a wise person, wise people say, keeping it simple, and we can do that same, the bass, just for simplicity's sake, so that you can hear this djembe. So this drum has the nicest combination of that low and the high sound. So since we have each other, I can do some other things on top of this that I couldn't do otherwise, because I know that no matter what I do, you'll still be there, out there. So to finish it off. So if y'all just keep doing that, I'll play the lead part. And if you get lost, just come back to 1, 2, hours, freestyle. If we had more time, friends. So these are all based off of West African rhythms and sounds. This is a West African djembe drum, originated in Mali over 1,000 years ago. And these are just standard. And if you went like 2 blocks that way, I guarantee Sunday afternoon, you're gonna hear something like. Based off that bass and hi-hat. Cool time to be alive. We have access to like space age information. This is like the highest rhythmic accomplishments of mankind. We're playing it here in Charleston where it was smuggled over. So, I've got 23 of these drums in my car, and I'm gonna bring them in now. We're gonna start in like 30,